Hi, welcome back. Welcome if you're new. I am super excited today. My name is LaShonda Herring, and I have the honor and privilege of hosting Dr. Tom and Shelley Negalo. Who These are two powerful people who have dedicated their lives to making this world really a better place and helping you to reach whatever that goal is for you, whatever that desire is for you, whatever you define happiness, love, and joy to be. And they have spent years doing this. So I'm super happy you guys are here today. Thank you for being here.
Well, we are very excited to be here with you again.
Thank you so much, LaShonda. It's always such a pleasure.
Yes.
We
And
just love you.
oh, I love this too. This is really cool, guys. We talk about some really great topics, but topics that we all deal with. And today we're going to talk about the big one, right? The one that people are like, it makes you nervous, makes you scared, brings up fear, brings up worry. And some people let it dictate their life. And that topic is money. And so we want to look at money in a very different way. We're not going to talk dollars and cents. We're not going to talk stock market. We want to talk about really money and how it comes up in your life. Energy. How does it manifest? How do you create it? What is that all about? Especially now with the country and what it's going through here in the United States, and other countries are going through things. So it really is important for us to kind of get grounded again about money. So can you guys share, what is your belief? What is your premise about money?
Well, to begin with, money very simply is energy. Now, I'll explain that. Now, money or cash, same thing, is what is money? Money is folding dead president faces. That's what it is. It's a representative of something, but in itself, it has no worth, except maybe the paper, and all that printing on it. But by itself, without our really our agreement between each other that this dollar has some meaning, but it's only because we give it meaning, not because it has value on its own. So basically, that's what money is. If you have a car, you have to put fuel in it to drive it around. Well, you're a person, and if you want to get around in the three-dimensional world, you have to have a way to exchange those goods and services. Now, if you want to exchange chickens, fine. That's fine with me. If you find somebody who wants to take 12 of your chickens for whatever, that's fine too. But more convenient is the stuff you put in your pocket. Now let's talk about money as energy. Okay, like I said, it's a fuel. It feeds what it is we want to create, like a car, where it is we want to go. And that's really very simply what it is and what it's for. Like I said before, a lot of money is easier for you to work with. Little money is perhaps more difficult for you to move around in your life, but having more money doesn't mean you feel better about it. Doesn't mean you feel better about yourself. So if you have a car and you have a tank full of gas, and then another 5 gallons sitting in the garage, okay, it's 5 gallons of gas. So what? I'll use it when I need it. But the important thing about money and energy is that that's what money represents, is the exchange of energy. You do work, you provide a service somehow, whatever it is, you go into work every day, or you're an entrepreneur and provide a service.
Or some goods.
Or provide a product, whatever that may be. Then what you're doing is you're using your human energy to produce that. And somebody giving you money for what it is you do well, they've had to do something and move energy around in their world to give you the money that they make. So really, money, finances in general, is an exchange of energy. And again, other than that, it has no meaning other than the meaning we give it. And that, I think, is where the disconnect comes.
Yes, and we think that if we have a lot of money, then we are abundant. That, there's something better about us or special about us, or that we've accomplished something. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. But the thing is that we are actually, as human beings, abundant already, each of us, regardless of our life circumstances. We already have all of universal energy, all of God, however one believes about it, to be able to be used, to be supported in manifesting what we want in our lives. We all do. Doesn't make any difference where we've come from or how much money we've had or didn't have in the past. And that's hard to get for some folks.
Yeah. Because the society, I don't want to blame it on society, but we look into the world and the world looks like it judges us on what we have and how we look and what we do. I mean, when you first meet somebody, what do you say? Oh, hi, my name is Tom. Your name is that. What do you do? And so we begin to identify ourselves and the feeling for ourselves and how good we feel or not, maybe, by what it is we do compared to the rest of the world. Obviously not everybody, but it's easy to get caught up in that because we're constantly getting the message that we have to be, we got to keep working. We have to push. We have to attain a certain level in order to be right, in order to be an active member of society. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't. What I'm saying is being hooked to it, having to, or thinking you have to be a certain way to attain that or be that way. That's really where the problem is, the having to, which is different than wanting to. Wanting to gives you, I think, the point of view of being more open to looking at certainly the things you can do to acquire more money if that works for you. And for some people, it doesn't. I mean, over the years, we've worked with people who are extremely wealthy. Literally a Rolls Royce and a Maserati in the garage, and 2 condos overlooking, one fell overlooking the lake in Chicago. 2 $1 million condos.
That was back then.
Yeah.
They're worth millions now.
Yeah. And he was no happier in his relationships than people we worked with who are making, $50,000, $60,000 a year, whatever it may be. So having a lot of money is interesting, I think. It can be fun. You can use it and go places and do things more easily, but it doesn't, and this is the important thing, I think, it doesn't give you the self-satisfaction that we think it should. People who are struggling day to day with paying the bills and making what they make, probably they look at somebody who's wealthy, oh, well, there's so much more satisfaction. It doesn't work that way, because satisfaction doesn't come from money. It comes from self-worth. It comes from who you are. That's where satisfaction is.
And I will tell you that I personally have known people in my life who had very, very little money, and yet they lived a very rich and rewarding life, absolutely creating what they love to do. So creating really is not, manifesting really is not a function of money. It's actually having to do with the energy an experience of using that energy to move out into the world to produce the results. It's a different life. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have money. We're all for it. You know, we want people to be as wealthy as they really want to be.
Right.
But
Yeah.
what we are saying is it's not where our satisfaction lies.
Yeah.
So you really have to separate satisfaction from amounts of folding dead president faces. You really do. And in that process, what you really do discover is what's true for you. And that's what's important.
Yeah, that's powerful because what you guys just, you said a lot that was really, really powerful. And I want people to kind of understand like that have to energy. So when people are doing things out of that have to energy, is that almost stopping them or blocking them from really creating what they want? Because it feels like you said, that constant push. And I'm not sure people realize how that's impacting them working from that energy.
Well, let's talk about the natural flow of who we are, our energy experience as human beings. The natural flow of who we are actually is at a very steady, slow pace. It isn't a pushed experience. And when we push against, literally against that natural flow of our energy, we jam ourselves up. That doesn't mean we don't produce results. We produce results in spite of pushing ourselves. But how much more we could actually manifest if we got out of our own way and relaxed, enjoy the ride, have an adventure, be playful, joyful. Wow, what a novel idea.
So let's look at for a minute where the having to comes from. Why do we have to? Whatever it is. Simply because you're looking at where you have been, where you have come from, what you have done that's worked, what you have done that didn't work, you see? And always, if you have to, means you are comparing what's going on now with your pictures, or more accurately, I think, your illusions of what it's supposed to be. Well, supposed to be means you're comparing yourself with what has been, like it or not. And when you do that, you create more illusions about what to do about it, how to get out of it, how to recreate it if it worked. But always with that way, when you're having to, you are stuck in the past. And it's okay to look at your past and say, oh, okay, this has worked, this hasn't worked, let's use it, let's learn from it. That's normal human growth, and that's good. But more often than not, I think, is when we have to, is because we think there's some lacking, that there's something wrong. I'm not doing this right because I'm not getting what I want. I'm not feeling the way I think I should feel in myself.
When I was growing up, our family had very, very little money. And it really impacted me. Not the money directly or the lack of it. It was the arguments and the upset around it that got me so scared all the time. Because really, I was fine. We had a roof over our head. We ate well. I had clothes on my back. My mother actually made my clothes back then. But what I was left with was that imprint of that fear around, oh my God, there is never enough. And it ran my life until I healed it out. It always looked like, especially when I was in my former career as an executive recruiter, I was only as good as the next deal and, whatever my paycheck said. And then I had to go recreate it all over again. It scared me to death. And I was outstanding at it. But I pushed myself so hard to have the results that I needed to produce that it really cost me satisfaction, having more incredible time with my family and my relationship with Tom. It really cost me a lot. It also cost me some health things at the time. So, is it really worth the push? We can create so much more and with much greater ease without the push. It's a matter of training ourselves. And the money will come much, much more easily when we get out of our own way.
Yeah. Somebody we worked with years ago said something very simple in this regard. He said, do what you love and don't stop doing it. And when you really are doing what you love, then that energy exchange that we've been talking about now becomes easy. Shelley very easily could have gone into the recruiting business each day and go, oh man, I can't wait to see, what's going to go on today, and really have fun with it. But because she had to make the money, she had to, however she felt about it at the time, that's what got in the way.
And I had to be number one at it,
Yeah.
which I was
Yeah.
at a very large company. It was fine having the accolades, but I was never satisfied. It was never enough, no matter how much money I made. It's kind of silly. It's what a waste of our time, really.
But that's how we've kind of almost programmed, whether it's outside programming and now inside programming, we kind of feel that way. We've forgotten that what satisfaction feels like and what it does and how you can create from that, because we're so busy having to.
We're so busy having to.
Yeah. And like you guys said, comparing ourselves to outside people in the past. Oh my, it's like this cycle you can't kind of get away from.
No, it's a crazy cycle that you never can unhook from unless you say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And of course, at some point, that's what Tom and I said.
Yeah.
And we had to literally reconstruct our lives because our marriage was falling apart in the middle of all that. So, what was more important? The money? We still needed the money, of course, to live, or having a quality of life and creating the family structure we wanted to have. That, of course, won out. Thank goodness.
Yeah. And then, interestingly enough, when we said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, then what came next was, okay, so what do we do with this? How do we change some of these things that aren't working? Well, first, you got to look at what isn't working. You got to look at where the source of that is. You have to learn how to really release it. And I just don't mean put it in a box and put it in a corner. I mean, really release it out of your whole experience, your body, your thinking, your emotions, all of that. And what we did is we experimented with each other and ourselves, if you will, and found a way through that. And that's when we teach relationship and we coach people. That's the place we teach from, is our own experience of bringing ourselves and each other through this. So there, I would say it this way, there's hope. In that you can actually overcome this stuff.
You can. You have to want to badly enough.
Yeah, you got to want to.
And then you have to do the right action and, learn how to retrain yourself in living your life fully, because that's usually a foreign concept to most folks. Yeah, they're looking at the outside and whether that measures something that they think they need to have in order to be satisfied. And that is never going to happen that way.
Yeah, and stop looking at the chaos and how to fix the chaos, because you're not going to fix the chaos. It's just chaotic out there. It's the nature of the two-dimensional world, right down to the little tiny physics things. So you almost have to blind yourself to that, if you will. Like we talked about before, the beginning of your question is, in today's world with all the stuff that's going on and the chaos out there now, and especially with the financial chaos, people being out of work for a year and a half, businesses not opening up anymore, What do you do about all that? You'll have to look beyond that chaos and actually go inside.
And discover what you're passionate about and live your life from that.
Yeah.
It's a different quality of life. And all kinds of possibilities and potentials that we never even think of start to emerge when we start to go within ourselves and slow down, relax, take a breath or 2 or 3 or 4, and start to take action out of your passion versus having to fulfill some perception of what you think you need to have in order to make it in your life.
So, and we were coaching somebody not that long ago, and they were pretty chaotic in their lives, not unusual. And I asked them, okay, so what if all of this chaos that you're talking about and how you're perceiving things and what you're thinking and all the illusions that you're talking about, what if none of that was true? What if your perceptions of all this was simply inaccurate? What if the way you are and have been looking at things is just your perception and has no real physical reality in the world? What would you do? What would you create if none of that was true? And you can ask, all of you out there, as you listen to this, ask yourself that question. What would you do if none of this chaos and none of the stuff, with all the perceived evidence that it is true, with all the proof that you're going to come up with that what you're thinking is right and what you're doing is, and all of that. But what if it wasn't true? What would you create? What would you build in the world from that place of being so centered with yourself? They could really, what people talk about being in the moment, and what that really is, being in the moment is fancy talk for looking into the world and seeing what's real. What's real right now. And then what are you going to create? What are you going to do? How are you, as that expression and experience of what we talk about unconditional love, universal energy, how are you going to bring yourself into the world from that place? And then look at that and all that chaos. I'm telling you,
It's
all
going to
that
disappear.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to go away.
It'll disappear, and all of a sudden you're living a life that you really do love, that you really are excited to get up in the day to move in your day with. That would be extraordinary, because we all have that potential. No matter, again, our circumstances, where we've come from, makes no difference. We are all abundant already.
Now,
That's beautiful.
I just want to talk about this thing of abundance. Okay.
Mhm.
So what is abundance? Abundance is everything. Everything physical in the world, everything you think about, everything you understand, it's all abundance. It's all you. It's everything in the universe is abundance. So our job when we're creating something, when we're making something, when we're manifesting something, is to look into this, our three-dimensional world, because that's all we have. We have our three-dimensional world and thoughts about everything else. But in physicalness, we have the three-dimensional world. Look in the world and say, okay, these things I'm going to use, do, be in action with, to make what I want, to manifest what I want. And that very simply is what abundance is. It's not some fancy thing that we think, oh, you have to have abundance thinking, abundance, I don't know, whatever it's called.
One of the things I just want to mention here is that when I first started to develop my women's program, I have a program called Power of Woman Seminar. And at the time, I had a profound experience of change with myself, my life, and my experience of our relationship together. And so I wanted to teach women how to be fully in their power, because I did have a profound experience of that change, and how to use it to manifest and create what they want in their lives. Well, I didn't have much money. We had the money we had, but we were going through some trying times with our relationship having fallen apart for a period of time and just various challenges that we were having. So I didn't let money, the lack of money, stop me. I did what I did. I started to talk to the women in my sphere. I started to invite women, have women invite other women, and began to teach what I experienced. In fact, one of the ladies that came to me early on is still a very, very dear friend of mine, and that's well over 35 years ago. So what I'm saying to you is that creating is not a function of the amount of money you have or not have. I'll tell you for sure, if I had waited for what I thought the amount of money was that I needed to produce the results in creating the incredible program that I've been teaching women for all these years, I would have been waiting a long time. What I did essentially was I got behind my butt and I gave it a push. And I did whatever I had to do. And I know many of you out there are in that kind of boat. Well, for those of you who don't know what to do, get behind your butt and give it a push.
That's
And
excellent.
go discover what you really are passionate about and what you really want to manifest to have the quality of life you want. Because I wasn't willing to take less than that.
Yeah, and if you're not sure about what you're passionate about, then be passionate about finding out.
Yeah.
Because the experience of passion is an experience, not a, oh, that. So if you can get passionate about finding out what you're passionate about, that means you already have the passion. It's already in there. So it's not discovering it. It's not going over here and go, oh, that thing. That's a result of expressing your passion. So you already are passion. It's a matter of what are you going to do with it? And uncovering it rather than discovering it somewhere over there. Uncover your passion and be passionate about uncovering your passion.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That's really great. I guess now is a great time to segue.
It really is.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for sharing your wisdom and definitely want everyone to know that Dr. Tom and Shelley Negolo are there for you. They have some phenomenal, proven, tested, true strategies that can help you and that work through this process. So definitely take advantage of that. And at the end, they'll give you their contact information so that you can reach out to them and get the support that you need.
Yeah. We don't go through life alone, but you can only do it by yourself, but not alone. It's you. The point is, it's you who are doing it, and you're getting support from other people, but ultimately, you're responsible for your healing. And when you get that and start to use that and experience it, there's a real powerful shift, powerful transformation.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to channel now is the time. And let me just talk about the channeling very briefly for those of you who haven't experienced my channeling before. I'm going to channel the Ascended Master Kuthumi. Kuthumi is the combined energy of St. Francis of Assisi, Pythagoras, the Greek philosopher and mathematician, and the Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan was the Indian leader who built the Taj Mahal. The combined energy of those, and he comes through in the personality of the Shah. and the combined energy, Kuthumi talks about it as the experience of unconditional love. And he has given me that title as the voice of unconditional love, which I gratefully accept. I'm a trance channel, which means that I am in a complete meditative trance. I have no idea what I'm saying or the questions. I don't hear anything. Everything for me, when I go out of my body, well, when I transition, I don't go out of my body. I don't float around or anything. At least I haven't yet. When I transition, everything for me goes to black, and then sometime later I come back. So that's my experience. And channeling, very simply and very quickly, is a different use of universal energy than we're used to on a day-to-day basis. We're used to our own energy and the experience of the universal energy of that, and we speak and talk and be human from that energy. What a channel does, a good one, is they tap into a different, let's call it a different frequency of that universal energy. And just like that energy gives you your personality, tapping into a different energy takes on the personality, in this particular case, of Kuthumi. And that's basically the basics of channeling as I experience it.
So today, Kuthumi will speak a bit about money and what we've been speaking about today, and how to manifest in the world with whatever your challenges might be. And then LaShonda and I will ask a question or two today, and then Tom will come back in again.
What Shelley will do is she'll ask an initial question, because when Kuthumi comes through, we don't know what he's going to talk about. But if we ask him, hey, would you talk about this subject, then he will do that. Otherwise, he may go off talking about who knows what. So, good. Okay.
And I'm going to get out of the screen, and then you'll just hear me in the background.
Yeah, Shelley will be the disembodied voice.
The disembodied spirits.
Well, let's not go there yet. Well, now, and good day to you, my dears.
Hello, Kuthumi.
Oh, Kuthumi.
How are you on such a fine day that it is?
Doing well.
Wow.
Very good, very good. And so,
Shall we have some discussion today, Kuthumi? We've been talking about money, and also how to, what to do about creating when you're up against some challenges, especially in the last year and a half with people being inside and some people losing jobs and so on like that.
yes,
And how to move beyond that to really create what they want, and and a little bit more about the understanding of money.
yes. Well, very simply, let us talk about the confusion and the things that are going about in your world right now. You see?
Very good.
So now, what is important is not what is going on, but what is important for the individual, for you, is to not pay attention to what is going on, in that it affects you in a way that takes you out of the experience of yourself. You see, what is most important in even confusing and doubtful and troubling times is to work harder in getting into the self, getting into the experience of self, getting into the feeling and understanding that you are whole in the universe. That although the circumstances may be more difficult or have changed, you have not. You see, you are still whole in these times of chaos. You see, and working at this first and getting into the being, getting into the power within you first, and then looking in the world and saying, okay, I, as an experience of energy, an experience of universal unconditional love, now, how can I use this in the world? Because the truth is, before all this chaos, that's what you were doing anyway, you see. Ultimately, whether you experienced it or not, ultimately, you are using the vibration of self. The more chaotic it gets, the more important it is to, if you will, drop into the self, have an experience of who you are first, and then look into the world and say, okay, what is necessary now for me not to engage in the chaos, but to get beyond it? You see, that is the first step. The next step would be discovering or perhaps rediscovering your passion and looking newly, given that things have changed in the world, things are different perhaps for you, how to newly use this passion to now have and create and do and feel in your life what it is you wish to. You see, not that you are being different in your expression of passion, but you are looking into the world and saying, what difference can I make with the passion now, given these other circumstances? You see, so this way you are not at the prisoner of the circumstances, but you are and create from the circumstances, from what it is you want. You are dictating to the circumstances what is so for you. You see, that is the next step. Then the step after that is coming to clarity to see that the action you are taking, the things that you are doing, the relationships that you are making are harmonious with the passion you are and the experience of self that you are already. So you see, there may be some work to do. It may be some time for you to look into what is really so, not the illusions perhaps that you have made, but what is the truth underneath the illusion that you have brought and that is causing you and having you be part of the chaos, rather than looking through the chaos and seeing what is there for you and how it is you want to go forward with it. See, do not participate in the chaos, you see, but you need to watch and see, okay, what is real, what is so, what is happening in the world, and how can I create from it and with it to better support myself and others, you see. How can I be of service in whatever it is I do? Those are the questions to ask. And then as you become clear about these things, as you become and increase your passion about these things, what is necessary, what is real, will show itself to you. Not because the universe brings something. Do not wait around for it to happen, but create it and then watch and then grab what is necessary, you see. So very briefly, we will tell the story of the great hunter, you see. So there was this tribe out in the jungle. And as tribes are, they have to do a lot of hunting, a lot of work to eat and to survive. And that is usual and normal. Well, in this particular tribe, there was one great hunter. And every time he went out, he came back with something to eat, some food, an animal that he had captured, you see. Now, what is interesting about this hunter is he went off by himself, where the other hunters went in packs, and they would run around, make a lot of noise, and hunt something, and sometimes they were successful, and sometimes they weren't. But this hunter always came back with something, some food. And so the other hunters said to each other, well, let's watch this one. What is he doing? Why is he always successful? So the next time they went out, he went out by himself, and the others followed very quietly behind to watch. And in some time, he came to a clearing, and the other hunters looked at each other, and they watched him, and he sat down in the middle of the clearing. And the other hunters whispered, well, he can't be in the clearing. Something will see him. Something will attack him, you see. And so they watched. And after a bit of time, the hunter sat quietly, just observing and being. And after a while, some of the animals came by at the opening, the rim of the clearing. Because why? They were curious. What is this? What is this thing sitting in the middle of an open space? Something will attack him. You see, maybe I should go there. So what would happen is the animals in their curiosity came closer and closer to see what this odd thing was. And when an animal came close enough, all of a sudden he'd take a spear and grab it real quick. And then he would go back to the village, successful every time, you see. And so the moral of this story is watch what is about you. You see, do not go running around in the forest making noise. And they said to him, is that why you're successful? He said, yes, if you go around making a lot of noise, they're going to run away. They're going to be afraid. But if you just sit and be quiet, it'll come to you and you will be able to observe what is real and what it is you want. And then the universe, this is how the universe brings something. It does not appear as if by magic. But the energy and the animals came to him because he knew they would. And he took one for his family and the tribe. And he knew that by being patient and quiet and observing and taking the time to see what was necessary, and then when it became clear, using the abundance, taking what is abundant in the world. You see? And now you are a successful hunter, do you see? And so in this way, we are all hunters, if you will. And the hunting is to be and experience abundance of the world. And abundance of the world is abundance of self. People say, well, experience your own abundance. What does this mean? It means looking into the world. And what is the vibration? And what is so? And in a quiet, peaceful way, create what it is you want. And so, please, questions in this time. Oh, very good. You are all very clear. How nice.
Katumi,
Go
Yes.
ahead, LaShonda.
I was going to say, Katumi, thank you so much for sharing that. The question I have is when people focus in on money and just focusing in on money and thinking that they need money to create or to have things. In our society, we focus so much in on the money. How do you help people kind of deal with that? Because you talked about focusing in on who we are and creating. So how do we deal with that when we're so focused in on money in our society?
Yes. Well, focusing in on money is okay to do because it is a necessary commodity, is a necessary thing in most cases to have to move you around the physical universe. This is all good. But making money the purpose is a dilemma, you see. Money is not the purpose. What it is, the energy that you expend, that creates that money coming to you. That is what is important. Now, making sure that you are doing something when somebody says, oh, yes, good, I'll expend my energy because of the energy that you are giving, and we'll exchange that as money, you see. So focusing on the money or focusing on the wrong thing. Focus on what it is you are creating, you see? And then when you plug that into the system of finances, then you will have the result. But do not focus on making money. Create. Make creating. The money will come.
Since people have had so many challenging times, you mentioned earlier about not focusing on the chaos. So, and you also mentioned about creating. What can they do to release themselves from their circumstances and be able to move on with their lives?
Yes, very good. What they can do to get on with their lives is simply be in the moment. What does that mean? Because you already are and have the experience of expanded universal energy. It's already within you. You see, you do not have to go into the world to try and find it. Uncover it, yes, that is necessary. But being in the world, experiencing who you are, the chaos is just around you. It does not affect you, you see. Because you are letting go of the ideas that you think you have to have and have to do. You see, you are focusing on self, not in a selfish way, but in an energetic way. So self now becomes what is important to bring into the world, and then use the energy of money to create more from who you are.
Very clear.
Very good. Yes.
Lashonda, any other question?
No, I think that was really great.
Very good. Yes.
Thank you, Kutumi. That
Also,
was so wonderful.
and so, my dears, until the next of our coming, peace to you in this time. Hi.
Hi.
That was pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
That
you.
was amazing. Yeah. Katumi laid out the steps, and I hope you guys will take heed to that, because he really laid it out, like step 1, step 2 of what you really need to do, especially now, like you said, the chaos is there, but don't be so immersed in it. you know don't be, because that's how we get distracted, and I think almost it's a sense how we create by default, you know because we're so in the midst of the chaos, and then we wind up creating chaos in our lives when that's really not what we wanted, but we got so stuck in that, and then that illusion, that we actually wind up creating it, instead of what you guys talked about earlier, what Katumi talked about, was creating what we want, the real passion, the real desire. of what really is inside of us and creating that. I can't say that. Oh my gosh, you can't say that enough. You really can't
Yeah,
say that enough.
we are creating machines. I mean, that's the nature of the body, the thinking, the emotions, all of that. So it's a matter of, it's not, are we going to create? It's a matter of what it is we create. We are going to create at random, unconsciously, but we're going to create, and that's where the chaos comes from. Or we can choose to create consciously,
On purpose.
purposefully, in a way that expresses that, well, quite frankly, the unconditional love that we are already. Um, and that's the difference. And that's a learned thing. That takes practice. It's really easy to say that, but there's some real deep work to do that that supports that. But that is, I think that is the nature of our humanity.
Yeah.
And when we learn to be responsible for it and express it, life is much more satisfying, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you mentioned that, Tom, and you guys mentioned it a bit earlier about the work that you need to do. Can you share with people kind of the work you guys do and how they can contact you to do some of the work that we've talked about today?
Okay.
Well, we do so much. We support people in a number of different areas in their healing, physically, emotionally, spiritually. We support people in learning how to manifest step by step. We actually have the Art of Manifesting program with Katumi and the other energy that Tom channels called the Guiding One. And that's a 10-week program with 2 additional private sessions with us to formulate an actual plan to create something in the world and produce the results. We have relationship seminars, is something called True Partnerships Training. And so we teach people how to have a true partnership in their lives. And we also teach healers, teachers, and coaches how to become more effective with their own energy, heal their own lives, so they can be even better at what they provide for others. So there's so much. Now I have a Power of Woman seminar for women, as I mentioned about the relationship program. And Tom, you want to say what you do?
Yeah, I'm a healer. I do body work, a body healer, something called cellular energy releasing, which I developed 35 years ago. And the purpose of that is to support people in letting go of the emotional holdings, as well as restructuring the physiological body to support that energy change. The other thing is I work with men. I coach men specifically in their transition. But I think the thing that in general is the most effective for both of us teaching what we teach is we support people in having that transition to who they really are, and learn to use that, bring that out into the world and what they do in their relationships, in a way that they are really effective with it and support themselves and support other folks in really, really changing.
So people can work with us privately or through the various trainings and seminars and classes that we have, or a combination, whatever works best for that person or for that partnership. And the best way to reach us is really to email me, and that's ShellyNegelo@gmail.com. And it's spelled SHELL, make sure it's EY, Shelly with an EY, Negelo, NEGELOW @gmail.com. That's the best way to reach us. And We look
Yeah.
forward to hearing from you. We have other things, by the way, on Facebook to be aware of. If you want to get more information about the channeling, go to the Voice of Unconditional Love Facebook group, the Voice of Unconditional Love Facebook. Also, Millennia of Love. It's a relationship. It's all about celebrating relationships that raise human consciousness. For those of you who are leaders in the community of various kinds, we welcome you. And also we have a line into limitless abundance, and those classes are all about personal growth and creating and manifesting in the world.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for doing this, for sharing your wisdom. Tom, for being the channel, that vessel that brings us that unlimited wisdom that we definitely need to live by. Thank you so much, guys, for doing this.
Our pleasure, and thank you for hosting us and for your great wisdom as well.
Yes, Lashonda,
Thanks, honey.
thank you so much for all the incredible work you do and for supporting so many people and for always lifting us so brilliantly.
Absolutely. So guys, definitely take heed to this. If you need the support, if things aren't where you want in your life, you don't have the satisfaction, you don't have that joy every day when you wake up, you need to contact Dr. Tom and Shelley Negalo and get the support that you need, because life is beautiful and you deserve to have the life that you love. And we will see you next time. Bye for now, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.